at least at 4 o'clock. I didn't bring a cell phone this time. We do appear to have a quorum. You're okay for attendance? Who's getting that? You've got it?
Yes.
You got it? Okay, thank you. So our first item is the consent agenda. Oh, actually, I should ask first, is there any public comment? Ray, are you aware of any public comment?
I don't, Mr. Chairman.
So the next item then is the consent agenda. Is there any item on the consent agenda that any of the commissioners wish removed? All right, I'll call in. Sorry?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Carl, seconder. Bart, all in favor?
Aye.
Any negative? The motion carries. So we'll go to the regular agenda then. And that, for this meeting, involves the approval of the proposed overall work plan. Ray, do you want to have anything to say on that?
Yes. If I may, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Yeah, just for the benefit of some of the newer planning commissioners, just want to give background of our budget. The OWP, the overall work program, basically is our budget document. So every year, we actually have prepared 2 budgets. One is what we call UWP, Unified Work Program, and that is basically for IDOT, Illinois Department of Transportation, and that's for their state's fiscal year starting July 1. And then the second budget that we have to prepare every year is the OWP, which is in front of you, and that is the overall work program, and there's more for the county, the budget process, and that fiscal year starts January 1. And so every year staff have to work on 2 budgets, the 2 documents. And so basically after we got done with one, then we had to start on the second one. And for the IDOT one, you don't see that much because there's kind of a little separate process through the Transportation Technical Committee and also the Transportation Policy Committee. And so, but our budget, even for the county, the bulk of it is really that IDOT budget. The approval of that IDOT budget doesn't require the MCRPC, the Planning Commission's approval, but it requires the Transportation Policy Committee's approval. And that's just the way it works with the IDOT, the process with the MPO. So just FYI. And besides 2 budgets, staff also have to work with 5 fiscal years. Every year we have 5 fiscal years to work with. One is the federal, because we get like federal grants, as recipients of the CDBG grants through Town of Normal and City of Bloomington, and then also we have some federal fundings through the Federal Highway Administration and also the Federal Transit Administration. And also we have the state budget, as I mentioned earlier, is the IDOT budget or related budget. And then the third one is the county budget. So because we became part of the county government structure a few years ago, so we have to, in compliance with their budget process, it was just along with the other county departments. The 4th fiscal year we have to deal with or work with is the City of Bloomington budget that starts in April 1st, or the budget cycle year. And then the Town Normal budget with the fiscal year starts in May. And because we, like I said earlier, we are sub-recipients of the CDBG grant funding, the Community Development Block Grant funding. And so we have also had to work with the fiscal years. And so we have 5 fiscal years that we constantly have to work with and deal with, just FYI. So the funding sources, so in front of you is the OWP, the overall work program for FY23. That is for January 1, 2023 on through December 31st of 2023. The funding sources primarily are grants, federal grants, state grants, a lot of the IDA grants, and then what we call the regional service agreements. That is, we do receive contributions from the 3 local governments, the county, the city, and town. As well, we also get some funding through technical assistance that we provide. In this case, will be Connect Transit. So we have a 3-year contract with them, and we'll be starting the 3rd year with this new fiscal year. And so the OWP, this year we have slightly more budget than last year. And there's one primary reason is we got a little bit more funding from Illinois Department of Transportation because of the federal funding that they received for all the MPOs. So there's some formula. So we did receive allocated some additional funding from them, and that applies to all the MPOs based on like a specific formula, and that's helpful. To not a whole lot of money, but it's better than none, or better than have to cut back. And so this year we have slightly more money, primarily because of that, and also the PACER project with the town of Normal that has been completed. So actually, that has been taken over from last year's budget, for those of you who were here last year. So the PACER project's been taken over from the overall budget. As you recall, we were awarded or notified of the award of the RACE grant for replanning or reinventing Veterans Parkway. And so we still waiting from Washington, D.C. for some paperwork, but that grant is a multi-year planning project, and we think it was like for budget purposes, we set it into 3 years, for budget purposes. So you will see, and I'll go into a little bit more detail, that we have got basically subdivide the overall budget for that Veterans Parkway RACE grant into 3 fiscal years. And so what I'm going to do now is to ask Tessa to show us there's a chart, a table that we would like to show you, and that was included in the agenda packet that I distributed like a week or so ago. And I assume all of you have a chance to read the OWP draft document. So I'm not going into details on that document, but basically just to highlight, this chart represents the funding source and also the expenditures. And if you could tell, the overall budget for the FY23 is proposed to be a little bit over $1.1 million. And that we have a balanced budget. This table can summarize the different revenue sources, the different expenditures by work element. And so that gives you kind of a synopsis of the OWP document. But we found it helpful in the last few years for the Planning Commission to have this one table and just to capture everything. So Tessa, if you would go to the next slide, please. Yeah, this is a chart, a pie chart, really basically taken out from the OWP document, but it shows the different revenue sources, and you can tell from the color scheme. I'm just going to pull my hard copy here. From the color scheme, that you can tell from the IDOT revenue, from the RSA, the regional service agreement, from some of the local and state sharing and also the waste grant that totals to little over $1.1 million for the fiscal years. So that pie chart's gonna give you a more little breakdown of what the revenue sources for next year. So this next chart kind of spells out the expenditures again, just to show is balance and also this percentage of each of the line items. And all this you can find in the OWP document. And so, but I just want to highlight and capture the revenue and expenditures. So every year we have to actually for our county budget process, and this is a snapshot of the screen or the cover of the OWP, which you all have. So in terms of the process, every year for us a little bit complicated than other county departments. For us, we have to take this to go over our draft budget with the county administration, but then we also have to take it to the our regional planning commission's executive committee, and so which we did, and we shared the draft minutes from the executive committee's meeting, in which the voting members voted for a recommendation for approval of this budget, and so the draft minutes was included in the agenda package for your review, and so that's 2 steps. So the next step is tonight or this evening, late afternoon, that is for your consideration of approval or recommendation for approval or acceptance. I think maybe that's the proper term. So after today, if this budget is found acceptable to you, they will take it to the county boards, their executive committee. That is the oversight committee for us. And if they recommend approval to the full county board, then that will be the last stop for approval. So after today's meeting, we still have 2 steps to go in terms of the approval process. So I think that's all I have. Unless you have any questions, and I'll be happy to try to answer.
Any of the commissioners have any questions? Any of the other people attending online have any questions for Ray?
I guess I have one question. If we could maybe clarify the work elements across the top of the page, what do they represent?
Okay. Let me see. What I'm trying to think of the best way. If Tessa, if you would, I think there's a page in that document in the OWP that really shows the work elements for the 100. There's a.
I think it's 98.
Is that? Is that it?
I think it's earlier.
Page 8 has a good
Well,
one.
the counting is.
Page 8.
Is there.
Page 8.
Yes.
Okay, is that?
That's basically projects.
Yeah, those are it's not specific project actually. Those I want to say kind of generalized categories of tasks, and it could be from projects to the nature of the projects, into like administration, to transportation, to special projects, to like data technology, that those type of categories, if you will. So it just help us to track, because we have to track time when we do the monthly reports, like to IDOT, and also to in some cases the CDBG, with the city and the town in terms of housing. So it's just a number that represent the different categories of work, if that helps. And then also, right, just so you know, so you see some numbers that correspond to the budgeting codes with the county government, And so you will see some codes that, says county codes because they use a different type of numbering system.
Yeah, I did have one question. So I noticed at the bottom it says for the green boxes, that indicates that those elements were funded by IDOT MPO contracts. Does that imply that in the absence of those contracts, we would not have those funds? Or does that mean we would then need it, in other years, we would need to reallocate?
Jen, can you have to clarify that because you have to put that budget together if you don't mind?
Sure.
And can you go back to that Tessa, you want that the green?
Table.
Yeah, please.
Of the work elements we have, those that are, as you mentioned, indicated in green are those that are paid for by our annual contract with IDOT for our services as the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO. And it also includes a couple of additional project areas which are also funded by IDOT but under different contracts. And if we didn't have those contracts, those agreements with IDOT for the various essentially transportation planning and stuff that goes with it, services, no, we would not have funding.
Thanks. Okay, thanks, Jim.
Sure.
Any other questions? At this point, I'd like to call for a motion from the commissioner for approval of the overall work budget, overall work program, sorry. McBark, seconder. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? The motion carries.
Thank you very much.
That is it for the regular agenda. We do have some additional items for discussion. And so we'll start with you, Jessica, on regional housing initiatives.
Yeah, thank you. To the podium.
Unfortunately, I can't show you on the screen. I think the remote has died on the camera. So I don't know if you want to go there, you want to go up here, but you're closer to the mic up there, but you're visible back here. So
I'll stand in the back so the people on screen can hear me or see me at least. Can you hear me okay online?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Great. Hello, everybody. So the Regional Housing Initiative update. Started with the Housing Assistance Coalition. Members of the coalition have seen an 83% increase in the amount of pandemic relief funds distributed to McLean County residents since May of 2022. And in July, a total of $93,480 was distributed to residents seeking assistance due to pandemic-related hardships. In addition, local homeless shelters are frequently at full capacity, indicating an ongoing housing instability in the region. Moving on to some white paper updates that the MCRPC staff have been working on. So the 2022 update to the area median income white paper was approved at the last month's Regional Housing Staff Committee meeting, and it is now posted on MCRPC's website. Staff have also been working on the 2022 update to the income qualified housing types of units and vouchers white paper. So preliminary data gathered shows that there was one low income housing tax credit property or LIHTC property with a total of 20 units that became inactive between 2021 and 2022. Nonetheless, earlier this year, the Illinois Housing Development Authority's Board, or IDA's board, approved 3 new LIHTC properties for a total of 132 new income restricted units in the area. So 2 of those developments are located in Bloomington and 1 is located in Hayward. It is important to note, however, that 2 of those properties, IDA's board has yet to close on the deal. So we will update you as that progresses. And then finally, MCRPC staff have also presented a policy brief to the Regional Housing Staff Committee on accessory dwelling units or ADUs to educate members on some innovative housing strategies. So that's what we've been working on over the past month or so. Any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tessa. Ray, you were going to make some comments on the Vision Zero Go Safe Action Plan project.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Vision Zero, as all of you should know by now, is a transportation safety action plan, and that was done, it was adopted last year. And so we've been looking for different grant opportunities, funding opportunities to help to implement the plan. And we have some great news for you today. Last month, we said that we were waiting to hear back from the two IDOT grants we applied for. And so we have heard on one of them. And then we did get an IDOT grant awarded. And that was on the pedestrian and bicycling safety grant. And it's not as much money as we had requested, but it's better than nothing. They didn't give us the full amount as requested, but they gave maybe a majority of what we asked for. And so that's great news for us. And again, that is for pedestrian and cyclist safety. And primarily what that grant will cover will be some promotional advocacy events that with materials that will be distributing for the public in terms of those safety for the pedestrians and cyclists. And then we will also be working probably with a consultant to have a video to have it made really to promote safety for pedestrians and cyclists. So we just executed agreement with IDOT, and so we're still waiting to work out the details. But I just want you to get the good news that we got one of the two grants, and so we're still waiting for the other one. Appreciate all the support, and that with that grant we will be working with the PDs in the area, from the city, town to the ISU, as well as the county sheriff's office, and then our staff also will be working closely with them and others and try to really promote safety for the cyclists and pedestrian. So that's the good news in terms of the implementation of the Vision Zero plan. And so we hope to have more good news for you next month.
Thanks, Ray. And you want to go ahead with your comments on the Metropolitan Long Range Transportation Plan?
Yes, thank you. We have, well, all of you should know by now, we have a draft plan document that we put out for public review and comments. And so we just using different channels to get the word out. We put hard copies in public libraries at our office and also links online. And we just, try to get the word out to get comments from the public. And we did that last Friday, I believe. And then we will be collecting comments through October 10th. That's the end of the public comments period. We have received a few, very good. We love comments. We would want to take those into consideration as we work on the final plan documents. So that's really the main steps, or one of the main steps, just more for the reasons. We appreciate that you taking the time out to read the drafts that Jan has sent you, and if you have comments to the chapters that she has sent you recently, and please feel free to relay those comments to her. But that's the latest update. The project steering committee still meeting monthly, and then staff working with them and give them updates. Any questions on that?
Questions, Mark?
Yeah, dude, Ray, and this is maybe out of left field a little bit, but I think when we first initially talked about this as a commission, I don't even remember how long ago it was. One of the questions that I had asked, and it really wasn't a part of the plan so much, but is the east side bypass corridor for the east side bypass out on the east side of town. I was just curious if we had any update on that, and if that's that which may arise type topic, we can certainly move on to the next. So
Yeah.
however is appropriate, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we have definitely we have, I don't know, it's an affirmative update, but we have actually asked IDOT folks, and we were told that basically they putting the project on hold, but unofficially, I don't think they will revive that project. But has not been made officially, the announcement or anything. But I think we counting on that is going to not on the radar in terms of long range plan.
Okay, I just had neighbors and folks that live out in the county me that have asked if that corridor will continue to be in place or not, because it does have kind of unintended consequences for landowners in that area.
Yeah, understood. And we just also we want to know too from a transportation planning perspective. But we were told a few times that basically that project is dead. But it's unofficially dead, if I may say that. And but there's some internal process they have to go through before pronouncing that project is no longer to be pursued.
Thank you.
Ray,
Thanks.
I just want to mention the corridor that's described in the original plan document for that process, that project, is not official, wasn't at the time. And there's no alignment reserved for that project either. And I would be very startled if IDOT at any point considered doing that.
Right.
So they won't quite cross the line and say so in the agreement, but it's become fairly clear that they are going to deep six it in some fashion.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ray. And I think you have one more thing you wanted to do at this point in the meeting, introduce our new Stevenson Fellow.
Yes.
Stevenson Fellow.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, if we recall, we a month or so ago, we announced that there will be a new Stevenson Fellow from ISU's graduate program joining us. And so he's here. He joined us a couple of weeks ago. And I'm going to introduce Anthony Yamson to you. And if he would like to say a few words, just introduce yourself, Anthony.
Hello all, my name is Anthony. I'm a graduate student with the Stevenson Center. I'm currently pursuing a master's of economics and community development. I got my undergrad in economics from UC Santa Barbara. And my main interests are just developmental economics. And I'm super passionate about community. So I saw this program as something combining both of those interests.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, so he'll be with us for about a year, a little less than a year. Yeah.
Is there any other business to go before the commission? Or any other comments or questions? If not, I'll request a motion to adjourn. Or I'll suggest a motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carried. We are adjourned. And thank you all very much.
Thank you, everybody.